Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start our talks program. I'd like to welcome you all to New South Wales Farmers. Over the next 3 days, we're going to give a number of talks on different topics, particularly helping smaller farmers and people living in the backyard to do everything from prune a fruit tree to manage weeds and also to control pests in the backyard through to commercial farm. And our first talk this morning is with Reg Kidd, who's going to give some tips about managing weeds and water in the backyard through to a veggie garden and around the house. So I'll hand over to Reg Kidd for his 10-minute talk.
Hi folks, look, I'll try and use this and see how it works. Look, the first thing I'd like to do is I'll just talk about weeds, because I think that's probably a topic that everyone would be experiencing right at the moment, because whether it's in your veggie garden or whether it's in your garden or whether you're on a property and it's out in a paddock, there is an incredible range of weeds out there at the moment, and most people's concern is quite often in controlling them, they're using the wrong methodology. Okay? So, how do you know what you can control your weeds with? There's a little book here called Noxious and Environmental Weed Control Handbook, and that's available free. So if you go down to the DPI stand at the National Field Days here, or the Orange City site, which is just over to the right to the east, they're available free. So you can look up any weed. I can look up midweed, and it will tell me how to control midweed. Okay? If I wanted to look up catseed, bindies, now anyone that's got a lawn at home or got grandchildren, a big problem that they will have is bindies in their lawn. Everyone will be asking how to control bindies. They're very, very easy to control as long as you control them down. So at the Department of Ag or DPI stand, if you go down to it, or if you go over to your east, over this Orange City stand, it's got a special display on weeds. It has all the weeds there in pots, and it has photos of all the different weeds. There's lots of handy giveaways that are free. Little things like this, they'll have a photo of a certain weed, whether it be oxalis or lambshaw or whatever it may be, and it'll give a description, and on the back it will give you a control, and they're actually free. Now I want you to put your hand up if you knew that those sorts of things are available and they're free. So nobody knew, and guess what? You've all paid for them. So make sure you go down and avail yourself, because you can be your own expert. This is updated and come out again only 6 months ago. So whether you're a farmer, an orchardist, or just an enthusiastic home gardener, the weeds are the same and the control methodology is exactly the same. I know that they're there because I took that one off the Orange City stand this morning, and I went down and checked that they're down at the DPI. So that's one, that's for weeds. If you have woody weeds, things like blackberries, in this area here, sweet briar, box hawthorn, and a whole range of other woody weeds, this is the best book to have. And again, it's free. It's called Woody Weed Control Guide, and inside it, it has pictures of all the different weeds, so you know that it is in fact sweet briar and not blackberry or vice versa. You would know that it's scrub eucalypt, or it could be biddy bush, that's very, very common in this area. But the other thing that this book tells you is the best time of the year to actually try and control it. Because some weeds, if you try and control it the wrong time, you will feel good It'll burn, but it will not kill. So it's very, very critical you do it at the right time. Now that booklet is available over on the Orange City Council weeds display, just over here. And as you're walking around, just keep your eye, because the company is called Dow, I'll have these on it, D-O-W, and it's got the different sort of techniques you can use, whether you're spraying it on, or whether you're going to cut, or inject, or whatever way that you want to control the weeds. So I think that's just enough quickly on how you can identify weeds. There are books that you can buy, and that book there was put together by two people from Orange, Paul and Meg. It's the best weeds book in the world because it's got fantastic photographs of the seed, the young weed stage or rosette stage and the adult plant, and it's got control methods, both organic if you like, or cultural methods, and chemical methods. That's probably worth 30 or 40 bucks, but that's what I use all the time. Okay? Now the other thing that I use, and you'll have to write this down, there are 2 free apps. I'm doing this for Growing Ground to show that I am getting up with the technology. There are 2 absolutely free apps, and apps means applications, they tell me, is that right? Right, and they're free. Now I just want you to write this down. This is so simple. This is for the home gardeners. It's called Yates. Y-A-T-E-S, Yates Garden Guide. People remember Yates? They've been putting a book out for 140 years now called the Yates Garden Guide, but now it's an app. And you can put that app on your phone, and I have it here. I can just press that app, and it's got my garden. Very simple to use. I go to the next one, and it's got weeds, pests and diseases. So if it was a weed, I would press weed, and then it goes through, if it's a grass weed, or a broadleaf weed, or if it's a woody weed, I press that, and then I can scroll through and have a look at these photos of all of these weeds and say, yeah, that's cat's ear. Fairly common at the moment in lawns, cat's ear. So I can press on cat's ear, and it will come up and tell me how to control it. Now, if I can't find my weed here, I can take a photo of it and press send, and it sends it down to Yates's, and within a day or 2 they will try and get it identified, and they will send you a message back. No, that wasn't cat's ear, it was lamb's tongue, and how to control it. Simple as that. Has anyone here ever seen that app? And it's free, so you've learned something today. The other one on here, which is a little bit more specific, goes hand in hand with this, and it's called WeedX, W-E-E-D-E-X, WeedX. It's put out by the DPI, or Department of Primary Industry, but it's an app. You just go into those apps, or get your grandchildren to do it, or one of your children, or a good friend that's into this. Bruce is very technical, he can do it for you. Now, this one, the one that professionals use, because this covers a whole range of weeds. Weeds out there in production agriculture, production horticulture, weeds that can be environment dangerous, or could be a health thing. A lot of people are allergic to some of the weeds. Has anyone ever seen the plant roots? There's a great tree and a vine that we brought in Australia called Rus toxyodendron. Appropriately named the toxyodendron because it had those magnificent red leaves in autumn, that most people, if they touched it, they would come out in welts. And my first house, we had it growing all up this chimney, and was told by my wife, I didn't know what it was at the time, she didn't like to take it down, and I ended up in hospital here in Orange for about 4 days on cortisone, and I've never been so crook in my life, and I couldn't breathe, and my eyes were swollen up and everything. So some weeds, or some plants we have, we've got to be very, very careful of with children or certain people can be allergic to it. Now at the moment, Petinia, one of the most common garden plants is a hedge. The old varieties of it produce a mass of flowers. Some people call it blowfly bush because it attracts blowflies and attracts bees, but a lot of people are allergic to the pollen in it and will get hay fever and other allergies to it. So you've got to be careful. This Weed X1, again, I can go into it very, very simple. This is just for weeds. It goes into, it'll ask you some questions. Does it look skinny, fat, low, high, yellow flower, whatever, and you can work your way through and usually come up with 99.9% of what they are. Press the button, you could even print it off, and it's got control methodology. I can't give you any better advice than those 2 free books and those 2 apps, and you can be an expert. So that's in weeds. How long's that, Bruce? So just on the weed section, before I do a bit on water, there are, and I encourage you today while you're here, go over to the Orange City site, 2 streets over. Their display this year is just on weeds, and all of the information there is free. Just take what you want, talk to the boys over there, and if they run out of anything, they'll give it to you, because there's some fantastic free information available on weeds. A weed that's around this year that a lot of people haven't seen for a long time is a thing called cleavers, C-L-E-A-V-E-R-S, and people will know it because it'll stick to your socks or to your trousers or even to your skin as you're going around. Now I'm just going to show you a couple of little handy things, and I know you haven't seen them. And this is using chemicals in your yard. If you want to go and dig them out by hand, if you've got that bent, that's fantastic and I encourage you. But I don't do that. I'm not into it, and if I did that, I'd start on one part of my garden and I'd have to come back again because we've got a huge garden. This is a new thing on the market and it's very environmentally friendly, and it's just, this is for using any chemical, but this would be Roundup, the gardener's friend. Everyone knows Roundup. Anyone here never heard of Roundup? That's what I mean. This time of the year, some of the biggest problems we have in the district is Roundupitis, and that's through overspray. Where they give their roses a touch-up, or the tomatoes, or something else in the lawn a touch-up. This little machine here, you take that off. Got all the instructions written here. You put the Roundup in here, add the water, put the top on, and you can go around in and out of the rose beds, the vegetable garden or whatever, and dab it on. Now isn't that absolutely brilliant? I don't know, but I thought to Bruce, I'm going to try and get the franchise on this in Australia, because if I couldn't sell this to every home in Australia, I'd stand on my head, I can tell you. Because it's just so brilliant, and you can go around it for elderly people, you don't have to bend down. You can just dab it on, in and out of rose beds, in and out of the vegetable garden, or spot spray, if you like, in the lawn, for those hard to kill weeds. Right? You're finished. You can pour what's left over out, easy to clean, and you put the top on, little thing there, and you can hang it up. And if the kids are playing up, you can use it this way, or give the dog or a cat a bit of a poke. So it's multi-use. Or, in fact, if you're getting a bit elderly like me, if you're walking around the yard, it's quite sturdy. So they're fantastic. Not about that types of people, but I've seen them in Bunnings, I've seen them in the Rural Centre in Orange, and I just recently seen them in Woolworths. Okay? I just want to show you this one. A lot of you may have a knapsack at home. This is a 15 litre one, there's 10 litre ones and 5 litre ones. I just want to show you something different that most people haven't seen. This is a different sort of nozzle that you can buy that'll come onto the end of it. But it's 3-way. I can put it on this and it just squirts like a hose, which is fantastic if I was doing woody weeds. I can do a flat fan, which is the normal way of spraying. It's a fan like that. and I can turn it around and it's a cone if I was trying to spray a bush or sort of insect pest. Most people have only got a flat fan on their thing, and that is not the right sort of nozzle for a lot of sort of spraying. Now just to finish up, we've got the beef hoe, just a little quick things on water. This time of the year and over summer is the most critical time for watering in your garden or on a property. How can we make sure that we can use our water more efficiently? It comes in 3 words: mulch, mulch, and more mulch. So it doesn't matter if it's a rose, it doesn't matter if it's a camellia, a gardenia, a fruit tree, or whatever it is. The more mulch that you can put out there will conserve the moisture, it will stop the variations in temperature, it will suppress the weeds, and when you do water, your water is more efficient. On a farming basis, we've really caught into this in the last, say, 20 years, because we leave, in a lot of farming practices now, the straw and the stubble in the paddock to build up the organic matter which preserves the moisture in the soil, so it's better for growing our crops. Now in gardening that's the same. Now if you're in the lawn situation now, a lot of your soils are horrible, I suggest this to you. Always make sure coming into spring now that you put holes in the lawn. You can buy cheap crystals now which are water absorbing crystals. Spread them out, you get these from Bunnings or any nursery, spread them by hand, and what will happen, they sit in the soil, and when it rains or when you water, these crystals expand and hold the water, and it releases the water slowly. Okay? Simple as that. You can do that with a pot plant, you're going away on holiday, and it's very, very cheap. So with watering, most of the watering that we do in gardening is wasted. Because we go out there and hold the hose, might have a drink, we feel good, we water the plant, well it's not that part of the plant that takes the water and it's the roots, so just think of those things. And look, there is a couple of books out and you can Google these, just to finish up, Water Efficient Garden. Just Google, your grandkids could Google Water Efficient Gardening, and there's some great information on whether it be pots or gardens or lawns or broad acre property on how to do things more efficiently. Is that my time?
We'll take one question. If there is any.
Any questions? Oh,
That was a compliment rather than a question.
I paid Kathy to come and sit in the front. Yeah, but look, seriously, if I could just finish, Bruce, on this. In my experience, there is incredible good information available out there that people don't access. So make sure you do access it and use, as a ratepayer, you pay for it anyhow, make sure you get that info. And this is a great Chrissy present. This is for my wife for Christmas, but please keep it a secret.
I'm sure he'll tell us on the ABC on Saturday.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you, Reg. And Reg will be appearing again tomorrow with another talk.